Hello everybody, welcome back to Sustainable Talks with Maria J. Today's topic is going to be about what's going on in current news for the past week or two, which is the Amazon fires in Brazil. So basically, it's been quite the topic on most social media. I have been seeing it all over Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms. So I thought it'd be a great conversation to have about, because a lot of people, I guess, aren't aware of the situation that's happening, or they are but they're not entirely sure why it's happening. So I thought today we could have a bit of a chat about it, and just so you guys become a bit more aware about the situation. That being said, I'm not like an expert on the situation. I've just done my research and I've just compiled it into this video, so you guys are more than welcome to do your own research and find out things on your own terms. But if you want a quick rundown of what's going on, keep on watching, because we're going to get straight into it right now. So the Amazon is this massive forest, which I hope you all know about, and it's quite well known as the lungs of the earth because it's a massive rainforest and it contains about 10% of the world's biodiversity. I mean, 10% doesn't sound a lot, but that's like millions and millions and millions of animal species and plant species. There's so many animal and plant species that we haven't even discovered yet that's in the Amazon. The Amazon's been having a tough time recently in the past couple decades, mainly because of deforestation. I briefly mentioned this in my previous video about milk, I think it was. So the Amazon is being deforested and there's a lot of logging going on in there and a lot of illegal logging that's happening in there. The Amazon is also home to a bunch of indigenous people, and this deforestation is also affecting their way of life and their lifestyles. A lot of them are living the same way that they were traditionally hundreds and thousands of years ago, as their ancestors would have. However, logging is now threatening that way of lifestyle, and it's creating a huge issue in Brazil. As well as that, the Amazon is also known as the largest river. I was watching this doco called Strange Rock, and it's on Netflix, and it's basically about the earth systems from astronaut perspective, from a space perspective, I suppose. And they go through the Amazon and mention how it is the world's largest river in the sky because of the water cycle that happens around the Amazon. There is just so much water both in the ground around the Amazon and also in the sky. I can't explain it very well, but I recommend you guys go watch that episode because they will do a better job than I have. That being said, the Amazon actually contributes a lot to the earth systems. The weather system that comes across South America comes across over the Amazon. A lot of the water gets captured, or a lot of precipitation happens around the Amazon area. So a lot of the water gets captured by the plants and the animals and all that kind of stuff. And that goes into the ground. So that creates like, you know, a natural groundwater for the area. And then the runoff then leads out to the rivers and supports it in the Amazon. So basically the Amazon is a really, really rich place. It's a really rich place that provides the air that we breathe. It captures a lot of CO2 that we're producing, and as a result, it's really fucking important. Fires that's been happening, I think the first week or two there was like no media coverage on it whatsoever, and I only found out about it because a friend shared it on Facebook. And then once I looked into it, I was like, there was only like 1 or 2 articles that was available, and the articles were exactly the same. Like they didn't have any other information. They were exact identical, and even the pictures, like there weren't many pictures available at that time. And one of the major criticisms about the Amazon fires is that A, the lack of social media, and B, the lack of urgency, I suppose. Like when the Notre Dame Cathedral burnt, like everyone was like, oh my god. And then billions and billions of money got donated, and I think a total of $12 billion got donated, but the Amazon hasn't had that. The Amazon has been pushed under the carpet pretty much, and only recently has it become quite the major issue that everyone's becoming aware of. A lot of people, however, are saying like, oh, you know, these fires are completely normal. There's fires all the time in Brazil. That is true. However, I think the size of the fires this year is exacerbated and it's not normal, which I'll go into depth. But basically, that's one of the major criticisms that's been coming around with the lack of media coverage about the the Amazon fires and how like nobody gives a fuck. It's kind of like that saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around, doesn't make a sound. You know, Notre Dame happened in a culturally populated place. It happened basically in a city, right? So everyone could see it. So everyone was like, oh my god, recording it, uploading it to social media and all that crap. The ease of access to that disaster, I suppose, filled the awareness of the situation. However, the Amazon, I guess maybe because it's in Brazil and maybe because it's a forest and like, you know, there's not many people living there, or there's not many people around there, the lack of awareness of the disaster really shocked me, especially with the devastation that's caused. I suppose the fires are visible from space. Like, it's that big, like there's so many of them going on. It's visible from space. It caused a blackout in Sao Paulo. I think it was like 3 p.m. and like the sky literally turned to darkness because of the wind bringing over all the ash. So when shit like that happens, like, how can you not react? How can you not give a shit? I don't know. Some people, I don't know. So basically, when I found out about this situation, I was like, oh my god, why is it happening? Why are there bushfires? Or, you know, why is the Amazon burning? Like, it can't be solely due to natural events, because in that case, like, why haven't we heard about there being severe weather storms or severe thunderstorms that are causing the Amazon to be on fire? And that said, the Amazon's like a wet forest. It's a wet forest. So wet shit doesn't burn, right? It doesn't burn as easily as a dry forest. So what's going on there? Well, the president of Brazil is Jair Bolsonaro. I think that's how you say it. And basically he wants to open up the Amazon to the economy. So he wants to make pretty much money either through farming, mining or logging. And there's already a lot of illegal logging going on. And basically by saying this, he's kind of making it okay. So basically he's deregulated environmental laws, and the environmental body over in Brazil literally has like no power now. They have no power to implement fines, they have no power to prosecute people, and they're pretty much seen as a joke, I suppose. Like, the president doesn't even support this government agency at all. He thinks it's a joke. So the farmers, they're like, great, we can have more land, let's start clearing the land to make more money for ourselves, right? And they're using an old technique of clearing the land. After like cutting everything down, they literally burn it, because I guess it's the quickest and easiest way to do it. But that said, no one's actually controlling the fires. I think I read in an article on the 10th of August is like land clearing day or something like that. So all clear their land on the same day. And I think this is how it kind of started. So because it's uncontrolled, these fires can spread quite easily, right? And then once you also deforest and clear the land also becomes drier, because there's no plants to hold in the moisture in the soil. The greenery is not there anymore. And so the land essentially becomes more drier. Once the land becomes more drier, it's more susceptible to fires, right? Common sense, I think. Many articles have cited that to date, there have been over 73,000 fires in Brazil this year. And that is about 80% up on last year. To those people who have been like, oh yeah, fires are normal. Yeah, it's normal, but like not 80% more than the year before. That's not due to natural weather events or natural situations. Like, that is a man-made situation where people are actively lighting fires to clear land and then not controlling the fires. So as a result, probably in combination with strong wind or other weather patterns, these fires have gotten absolutely out of control, and you can see them from bloody space. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. There's been international pressure on Jair Bolsonaro. I think they had like a G7 or G20 meeting a couple of weeks ago or a few days ago, and they got together and were like, look, we're gonna give you international aid. And he rejected the international aid because I think part of the international aid, which was about $20 million worth, came from the French president, and he had some beef with the French president. So he was like, I don't want your money unless you give me an apology for, I think Jair Bolsonaro like lied about his climate change policies or something, like he didn't act upon them or something. It's like something really trivial. So basically he rejected the international aid, $20 million. Like, that's what I got annoyed at as well, because like when I first jumped onto social media to find out what was going on, I was like, okay, these fires are going on, and everyone was like hashtag pray for the Amazon. Like, praying for the Amazon isn't going to do shit. Like, your intentions are good, but it's not going to stop the fires from burning, right? So that's when I was like, okay, like, what is being done to stop the fires? And I couldn't find any information about that, because I know in California, when they have the crazy bushfires, we send our Aussie firefighters over, and we send our big water bomber things over to help. But like, I was like, is any of this happening? And I read an article where ScoMo was like, this isn't in our region, so we're not gonna go send help over. And I was just like, what? Yeah, it's not in our region, but like, neither is America. But I guess we have strong ties with America for trade policies and economic policies, so that's why we help them out. But what's happening in Brazil right now, all the CO2 that's being emitted from all the fire that's going on, that's gonna move across and hit us. And we don't know when, but it's gonna fucking affect our air. It's affecting the air that we breathe right now, and we don't even know it. So the fact that ScoMo was like, yeah, nah, like, these bushfires are crazy, like, we're sorry for Brazil, but we're not sending help, like, that's fucking stupid. Makes me mad. ScoMo is a fucking idiot. Anyway, so like, I understand, like, these guys, all the farmers, like, you know, they have their own issues to worry about. Like, you know, maybe they're interested in looking after their family, they're interested to increase their income, to improve their standard of living, but like, at what cost? Like, yes, it's gonna bring you benefits in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but like, you're fucking up the ecosystem. Like, you're clearing the land now. How do I say this? Basically, like, you're clearing the land now, so there's a lot of the Amazon's pretty much fucked up and gone, right? So you're clearing the land, and there's going to be less vegetation. As I mentioned, less vegetation means less water storage and less water catchment. So your environment and the landscape will change completely. You're going to have less trees, you're going to have more open space, more open, like, grasslands or whatever. Cattle decompacting the land, which therefore further exacerbates water storage and water catchment. And then, because the trees aren't there, when you deforest the Amazon enough, the weather patterns are going to change, and they're not going to benefit you anymore. And I don't think these farmers realize this. I don't think the president realizes this. Like, they're just thinking about the economy and how can I make more money. But it's not about making money, because when you die, like, when you're old, when you die, the money's not going to do shit for you, right? The money's not going to do shit for you. So it's really sad about what's happening over there, and it's unfortunate that this is happening in Brazil, and it's happening to the Amazon. And I feel like we all just need to be educated about what's going on, and about how our actions have impacts on everyone else, whether they're in our immediate circle or halfway across the world, and we don't even fucking know them. So yeah, now, because of the growing international pressure on Jair Bolsonaro, he has placed a ban for 60 days. He's banned land clearing for 60 days. Hopefully that means they can control the fires that's burning right now, but it's a band-aid solution, because once the 60-day ban has passed, farmers are going to go back to land clearing and lighting fires, which it's not going to help. Yeah. And then, like, even then, like, this ban, like, because he's made the environment to be such a joke, and like, I guess, like, the environment's lost its I don't know how to say the word. The environment's lost its importance, I suppose. Like, these farmers who are like, yeah, we've got a 60-day ban. Okay, like, let's not do anything for 60 days. Nothing's going to stop them from not doing anything in those 60-day ban. Like, the environmental agency is a joke, right? So who's going to follow up and make sure that no one's actually doing this shit for 60 days? It's not going to happen, because the president's made the environment out to be such a joke. He's made these regulations surrounding the environment to be a joke. So this whole thing's a fucking joke, right? Yeah. So I know this is, like, turned pretty grim, sorry, but there are things that you can do. I don't want to force these upon you, but these are just suggestions, okay? So as I said, #pray for Amazon isn't the best action to take to help what's going on in the Amazon right now, but there are a few other actions and things you can consider doing that can actually be more beneficial. This includes number one, doing your research. So actually finding out what's going on, why it's going on, and help you understand the situation more and be more educated, be less ignorant, because there are some people on the internet that are so fucking ignorant, like so ignorant. Like I got myself like in one of those commenting threads and I was like, nah, I had to like eject because it was just going nowhere, because some people are just very ignorant. I understand, like, I'm one person and there's only so much I can do, but at the end of the day you got to remember you're not just one person. You're not the only one that's thinking these things, right? Like there's thousands and thousands and probably millions of people who are all thinking the same thing as you, and that fucking adds up. So that's it. Number one, do your research and become more educated, not only regards to this situation but any other situation that piques your interest or that you might be concerned about. Don't just be like, oh no, the Amazon's on fire. Keep scrolling through. Oh no, the Amazon's on fire. Why is it? Be interested, I guess. Be more interested about what's going on in the world around you, because it's all going to come back and fucking bite you, okay? It will. So do more research, be more informed, and even like have a casual chat about this with like your friends, because like, I don't know, it's interesting to learn and different perspectives. I was talking about this with one of my friends recently, and he was basically saying like, oh, like the Amazon it's horrible what's going on there, but like there's other countries that are like, I don't know, trying to adjust or fix this climate change issue by planting more trees. And I've seen articles about this, but I haven't really read them. But basically they're saying like, oh, like despite planting more trees, it's not gonna help fix the situation, because like, you know, these trees that are burning and being cut down are thousands of years old, right? But the trees we're planting now are all pretty much baby trees, and like there's only so much carbon they can absorb. And what they found out was, he read in an article that there's actually plankton, I think, in the ocean that has already evolved due to the climate situation that's happening. So they've actually evolved to the point where they can increase their capacity to absorb more CO2. So essentially these planktons and things that are in the ocean are actually becoming more efficient at absorbing CO2, and I think they're absorbing more CO2 than new trees are. So I'll try and find an article about that and put it in the link down below for your own read. But I thought that was quite interesting. Like the status quo doesn't work anymore. Like the world has changed so much, so like what you used to think one way doesn't necessarily apply anymore. And then another thing you can obviously do is research what you're eating. I'm a bit hesitant to say this now because I was reading some comments on Facebook, and people get so angry about vegans and vegetarians. It's quite scary. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, we're not making you do it. Like, if you want to eat meat, go eat your meat. But like, why do you care so much? And why do you have so much hate on people that have their own personal dietary choices? Like, you don't see so much hate on people like for being fucking lactose intolerant. I don't fucking get it. Anyway, so as I mentioned in my milk video, you know, the thing that's happening in Brazil right now, it's because of agriculture and because of economic factors, right? So as I mentioned, the president wants to open it up to agriculture, mining and logging. So I guess like in those respects, you can probably try do some research into when you're consuming, like where is your product coming from. I know for sure with agriculture, it's mainly for cattle in Brazil, as well as soy production. So a lot of the soy crops that's been replacing the Amazon is actually for cattle feed. So I don't know if this cattle feed is just to feed the cattle in Brazil, or if it's being exported internationally. If it is being exported internationally, that's when it can become tricky, because, you know, like in Australia, we don't get beef from Brazil, but we have Australian beef, which is pretty good. But how do we find out where their feed is coming from? Like, that makes it tricky, right? How do I know that the grains that they're eating aren't from the Amazon? Yeah, that's a fucking hard one. So things like that to think about, like when you guys are eating or even consuming in general and buying this piece of furniture, where's the timber from? Look into sustainable alliances and stuff and see if the products you are purchasing go along with those. So I just want you guys to have a think about that. I know this is a lot of information and I'll try to cut this video down a lot for you guys, but just have a think about it, because, you know, every action has a reaction. And I think we all have a greater role to play in being better humans, being nicer to each other, and treating our home, our Mother Earth, the way she deserves it. Yeah. If there's any other topics that you guys would like to learn more about, please leave a comment down below. If you have any interesting perspectives or thoughts about today's topic, I would again love to hear about your input. Again, like all this information that I relayed today is based on my research. You guys might have some other interesting information and I would love to hear about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.